to some highlights from the Munster matchplay 2022 in a beautiful Bishopstown course. We'll start off with the junior final between Eddie Delaney of Bishopstown in his home course against Dean Lonergan from St Anne's. This is the second hole. Eddie for a 2, all square at the moment. Great putt there by Eddie. This is Dean for the half. Just a power lip out there from Dean, unlucky. 1 up to Eddie. This is the third hole. Both going for 2s, 2 good pitches. Just short there by Dean. And Eddie for the 2 to win the hole. Again, had it if he hit it. So 1 up. They pitched a 4th. So these are the chips. This is Dean chipping his second shot up to a gimme. And Eddie to win the hole, to go 2 up early. Again, right in the jaws if he hit it. Dean's in trouble here on the 5th, mile short, and he's chipped straight through. Eddie's on the green, so I think Dean needs this and gives the hole away. So he's 2 down early as we hop over to the intermediate final between club mates Darren O'Leary and Alan Keating. It's Alan in command early in this game, 1 up. Back to the juniors. Dean was 2 down after 5. He won the 6th. This is them pitching on the 7th. Eddie 1 up. Dean pitching. And a great pitch by Dean. This is Eddie's reply. And he goes a good bit long there, so it's advantage Dean. This is up at the green. And he holds the putt, so back to all square after 7 there in the juniors. Here's the intermediates. Alan chipping on the 5th. He's 1 up at the moment. And here is Darren putting to bring it back to all square. And lovely putt there by Darren, so it's all square. Here's the first look at the seniors. Kieran Earls is 1 up early on Decky Freeman from Fermoy. And Decky, this is that putt there. Kieran to go 2 up. And just not enough pace in it, so it's Kieran 1 up there after 4 in that game. That was Kieran pitching the 5th, just short here. Here's Decky's reply. And all over the pin from Decky. Great pitch. Chance to bring it back there in that game. Darren O'Leary putting over on the 7th for a 2. Good game early, this one. And he walks it in. Here's Alan for the half. And a great putt there by Alan. So Alan 1 up in that game. Decky for the 2 to win the hole. And Decky pulls one back there. So it's back to 1 up for Karen. Here's Decky Freeman putting on the 6th. 1 down at the moment. And he had it if he hit it. Unlucky there. And here's Karen to win the hole. and not enough pace in that for Karen, so that's a half on the 6th. Over on the 10th, a very tricky pin position here, and Darren has failed to get that up enough, and it's going to come off to the front again. Alan was 1 up after 9 in this game, and here's Alan's chip. What you didn't see here is Alan's ball also falling off to the front. So they're both struggling for the trees, but this in the end is to win the hole for Darren, and it's a great win. So that's back to all square in the intermediates after 10 holes. Karen has stitched 2 in a row and Decky for the half there, so Karen's gone 3 up in that game. This is the 11th, just at the back of the green, and a good chip there by Darren, but Alan has a putt here to go back to 1 up. A great pitch to land it there and stop it there with a putt up the hill, and he'll be fancying this one, and he leaves it in the jaws. Unlucky there. Over on the 9th, Decky to pull one back after a great pitch, and he gets it there to pull it back to 2. Back to the junior game here, and Eddie is currently 3 up on Dean on the 13th, and Dean is in trouble here on this hole as well. Eddie coasts it down to the hole is all he had to do. Dean needs this for the half, and no good there, so it's going to be a commanding 4 up there for Eddie in the junior final. Decky is stitched here on the 11th, and Karen is about 4 to 5 feet for the half. Never in doubt there by Karen, so he's still 3 up in that game. Dean is in trouble in this game against Eddie. Decky here for the 2 on the 11th. There's Karen's ball there on the fringe as we go back over to the intermediates, where Darren has turned it around from being 1 down after 9. He's gone into the lead in this game, and it's a tough chip here for Alan, and he's chipped it straight through the green there, so it's a win there for Darren, and a win for Karen with his putt. And here is Eddie chipping on the 15th, and this was one of a number of chippings that Eddie had in his game against Dean Lurnigan. Fantastic. I think he had 5 or 6 of them chippings. Dean would tell you more about that. His chipping was relentless. He never missed in the wrong spot, and the local knowledge came to the fore. He took a commanding lead on Dean, 5 up at one stage, but as you'll see, Dean fought right back and took it down to the 36th hole. Here's Darren chipping from the back of the 15th, a very tough position, not a bad chip. Here's Alan for the win. He could still win it if Darren misses his putt. A good chip there, and this is for the half now for Darren. I think it was 1 up at this stage. I could be off in a couple of the scores at the given times, but Darren was definitely in the lead, and a great save there from Darren to head to the 16th there. And where we were on the 15th here, that was what all we're on the 16th there. Darren has chipped it straight through, and this is for a par, and that's a solid walking par. Kieran in his game against Decky, it was a good chip there. We're back to Alan to win the 16th hole in his game against Darren. It was a high quality game the whole way through. They were a good couple under par. They were after the 36. That's a great putt there to win the hole. And as we're pitching the 17th, a great hole there, a great view of a great hole, and a great pitch there to the front right. But this is what he was up against: the machine, Darren O'Leary. A fantastic pitch all over the flag there, and that resulted in a 2. Kieran Earls was never really in trouble in his game, and he won comfortably in the end against Decky Freeman, who loves the course. As I said earlier, Dean was in big trouble in that game, but as my battery started getting lower in the phone, I had to use it sparingly, and Dean did fight back in the last 9 holes and brought it down the last, and Eddie finished in a way that he played the whole way around with a chipping, as we'll see in a second. Decky pitching the 17th in the first round. So a great day's play, and the course was in immaculate condition, and credit needs to be taken there. The pace of play went well the whole way through. We'll just see a couple of sparing shots now as the battery started getting eaten from the 4K 60 frames per second video recording. But as I said, it was a great day's play. The 3 winners in the 3 grades was Eddie Delaney, seen chipping here, of Bishopstown, a very popular local winner in his home course. Kieran Earls of Bruff beating Decky Freeman of Fermoy. A comfortable win in the end from Kieran, but a good high quality match, and a very good battle between the intermediates from St Anne's to the top intermediates in Cork and Munster. And it was Darren who came out 4-2 in the end. He was a very good score. And that concludes the couple of clips that I got from today's play. There should be 1 or 2 more coming up of the last few holes. One of the pivotal holes in this junior final, as Dean fought back to 2 down onto the 9th. He actually hit a great pitch on the 9th and just rolled off the side. But as we'll see in a second, he had 2 terrible chips, and I think his race was ran after the stage. He was 2 down here, not in a bad spot. He duffed his first chip. Yeah. The second chip, he left it well short, with Eddie winning the hole in the end with a 4. And from a possible 1 down, he was 3 down with 8 to play. That went 4 down with 7 to play. Oh. But amazingly, he fought the whole way, and it was the only game to come down to the last few holes, and Eddie held a 1-up lead as they came down to the last. As you'll see in a second what happened in the last hole, Kieran was in command in that game. And here is the final hole in the juniors. Eddie under pressure, 1-up after being 4-up at 6 to play, I think, or 7 to play. He's down the last. He's in a tough enough spot. And what a way to cap off the victory. With everyone watching this game now as the last game left on the course. And a great way to finish the day. The chip in from the local hero, Eddie Delaney. He stopped.